Today on the podcast, Dr. Ramiro Nava. Dr. Nava is the Superintendent of Cotulla ISD, where he is known for his steady leadership, deep empathy, and ability to build trust in the communities he serves. Earlier in his career, he stepped into campuses that were struggling and guided them toward renewal by focusing on relationships, listening first, and empowering people to find solutions together. Today, we'll explore how he rebuilt trust in hurting schools, why listening is often more powerful than quick fixes, and how servant leadership creates a foundation for lasting transformation. By the end of this episode, you'll walk away with practical insights to lead with empathy, strengthen relationships, and sustain positive change in your school community. Welcome to Transformational Educators, where we help school leaders create lasting change by sharing powerful, real-world stories of servant leadership and practical strategies for transformation. I'm your host, Matthew Flippen, president of Graceland University, where we equip school leaders to make a lasting impact. Today, I am honored to have Dr. Ramiro Nava with us from Cotulla ISD, where he is the superintendent. And you've been the superintendent there now?
I'm going on 3 years.
On 3 years. Okay. You've already doubled the life expectancy of a superintendent.
Yes.
Dr. Nava has served in a variety of roles, including special education. You started as a teacher, I would assume. And
Yes.
Were you at the elementary level?
I was at the high school level as a teacher.
Okay.
Yes. And then I've been a director of special ed.
Okay.
I've been a principal. I've been a vice principal, assistant superintendent of operations, and now superintendent of schools.
Chief academic officer, I
Yes,
think,
yes, that's it.
and now superintendent.
Yep.
And around the area of Cotulla, or
So South Texas, San Antonio, and South, yes.
okay, fantastic. Well, looking up your background, one of the things that inspired me about your journey is the relationships I can see that you've built each place that you've gone. I mean, that is a theme, I think, of your leadership. Is it starts with relationships. And so I'm excited to have you on the Transformational Educators podcast today to share a story about when you were a campus principal and a principal of a campus that was hurting maybe when you got there.
Yes.
Which principalship would that be?
So that was when I became a principal of Neil Armstrong Elementary.
Okay.
And that was in South San Antonio ISD.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about Neil Armstrong when you got there.
Neil Armstrong was a small school right off of Ray Ellison Drive. In South San, people from South San will know that area as the Hill, right?
Okay.
And so
is that a positive term?
It is a positive, but because the school district's divided by tracks and the old Kelly Air Force Base.
Oh, yeah.
So it was on the western side of what South San Antonio ISD was.
Okay.
And so being in that area, having the opportunity, first time ever as a principal, got in there and had the opportunity to just kind of observe and look and learn. And at that time, there was a lot of poverty in that area. Okay. The city of San Antonio was going through they were, I guess, resettling people from the housing authorities. There was some housing projects that were in different parts of San Antonio, and they were moving people out into Section 8 homes. And so that area was one that received a lot of families. But that's not to say that the families themselves were hurting. I think the families were yearning, not so much hurting.
Yeah.
But being in that area and having the opportunity to be principal there really, really opened my eyes to what people really need, right? And so going there, they had gone through principals before. Their academics was not where it needed to be. But going in, I learned real quickly that I had to learn from them, right? Give myself the opportunity to be taught and not come into the role as being the master teacher, right? Or being the teacher.
Sure.
And I learned a lot from our staff, from our parents, and mainly from our kids. We also had clusters at that time. So we had the special needs cluster for those 3 elementaries.
Okay.
And so we housed all the students that would have originally attended one of those 3 schools that were all at Neil Armstrong. And that really provided me with an additional lens to really see, what are the hard needs for some of our students, right?
Sure.
Sometimes we take for granted that we can feed ourselves, that we can clean ourselves, right? That we can go to the restroom on our own. But experiencing firsthand that we had students that were in situations where they couldn't provide for their own basic
Yes.
needs,
Yeah.
I realized really quickly that the approach has to be different. Right? And so
Now, did you have a special education background at that moment?
I did not. The only experience I had at that time
Okay.
was the 3 hours, right? The one college course that you take to
Okay.
become a principal in special needs. And
Okay.
that's usually a quick crash course
Sure,
for
sure.
just kind of basic understanding.
Yeah. Okay.
But just looking at the need and the condition
Right.
that some of our students were in, listening to their families, listening to the teachers'
Yeah.
needs.
Now, what did you do? How did you capture that? Did you meet
So,
with families? How did you-
I did. So initially, right, when I first started there, you usually start about 3-4 weeks beforehand. And at that time, you're going through all of the district protocols. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't spend this. Don't spend that. You don't have any money. So I'm thinking, okay, right? So as a first year principal, you're getting hit with all the don't do's. And I never really heard anything what to do. So I said, well, I guess I got to figure out what to do, right?
That's
So-
why we're interviewing this, so we can help
Right.
people know, here's what to
right,
do.
Right.
Yeah,
so
that's
so took the time, and as teachers started coming in, I took the time to just listen to people one-on-one, created
Okay.
one-on-one meetings so that I can go to them, right? And that was just something that my mom and dad taught us, right? In order for you to understand something, take the time.
Sure,
Take the time
sure.
to sit and
Yeah.
listen to
I think there's
someone. And that's been the biggest lesson in every position that I've had in this career, is just sitting back, just like we're doing here, take the time to listen to people.
That's right, yeah.
And have the conversations about.
I think there's a wise
happens.
saying that says, seek first to understand
Right.
before.
Being understood.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And
Yes,
that principle, you know, when it comes to relationships, is so critical.
Definitely.
Especially when you're walking into places where there's hurting.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And how
right.
was the staff hurting? What was it that was...
There just seemed to be a lot of inconsistencies, a lot of turnover, there was a lot of empathy with, you know, oh, here's someone else coming in, right?
Okay.
Gonna change things, gonna this, gonna that.
They weren't trusting that you were going to be there long enough.
No, and it didn't help that I was a first year either. So it seemed like, okay, so
Who's this
here they're just
young
sending
kid?
us someone. Yeah, they're just sending us someone.
They didn't know who they had.
No, and honestly, I didn't know what they had either, right? And so going in and just listening and learning from them, I still talk to people, and I still have connection with some of those teachers to this day about how they taught me how to be a better administrator for them, right? And so listening to their stories, and then me just inquiring, well, why is that? And well, you know, they always tell us this and they always tell us there's no money. I said, you know, I hear that too, but we have a budget, and let's look at what we can do, and let's look at how we can this, and let's look at how we can approach this.
Okay.
And so just taking the time to just build, like you said earlier, those relationships with people.
Right.
And it takes time to do that, right? Because when you build trust, it's consistency over time.
That's
so
right.
initially they kind of respected, I think, what I said because of the position that I had. And I think that being consistent over time, they started to see, okay, well, this guy's not going to this. And the truth is, I didn't know what else to do because that was my first time,
yes,
right?
of course.
So
You were learning on the
I
job
was learning on the
by
job.
listening.
I
Yeah.
was learning on
Yeah, I
the job
love
by
that.
listening.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. One of the things I love about these conversations is how they remind us your work in education matters, and your commitment to growth can ripple out to change entire communities. At Graceland University, we support educators on that journey through degree programs and partnerships rooted in purpose, not just credentials. For more information, see the QR code on screen or follow the link in the show notes. Now back to the episode. Was there any specific story you heard early that was really hard, just emotionally hard?
There was one particular family that I had heard from our teachers, like, you know, it's a hard family. You don't really are going to get much from them because the kids don't come to school. The kids are always in trouble. The dad's all tattooed up, and, you know, all the back history of why we couldn't, right? And it was not a long time before I had to sit and have a conversation with the family because one of their students there was a situation, I don't remember all the details, but it was the buildup. Well, be careful with dad, and do we need to call the police? And
wow.
I'm like,
Okay.
no, we don't have to call anybody. I said, I'm going to have a conversation, and
Yeah.
we're going to start there. And so dad was probably twice as tall as I was and twice as wide and tattooed, bald head, come in, very intimidating. But we went into the office. Secretary's like, "Are you sure you don't want me to have backup?" It's like, no. Came into the office and I just, in a crackled voice, said, "Mr." and I don't remember his name. I wanted to take some time to just have a conversation with you on how we can make things better for your son. And there was a long pause. And I felt like, oh, here it comes. And he said, "You know, no one's ever said that to me." I said, "Which part?" He said, "Well, just receiving me with respect."
Oh, wow.
And then wanting to see what you could do to help my son. He said, "If you only knew that he always comes home, how nobody cares for him, nobody asks for him, nobody tells him how his day was, nobody anything. He has this chip that he hates coming to school because he feels nobody likes him." I said, "Well, I can assure you that that's not the case, right? I think is that there's these preconceived notions of fear and intimidation." I said, "In all due respect, that may be coming from you, or at least they perceive that people are hesitant." He's like, "Sir, I would give my shirt off my back for my kids. And yes, I've had a hard life," and he did this. He says, "But you know what? I've made connection. I've reconnected with the Lord, and that's not me anymore. If I could take all this off, I would. I want to be here for my kids. I want to be here to do something for them." I said, "Well, this is where we start, right?" I said, "I'm learning too. I'm this." I said, "I'm a new principal." I said, "But here's my personal number. If you need me for anything, if you need me to call, you need me to call, you need to have him, give me a call so that we can encourage him to come to school. You call me. Are you sure? Are you like?" If I was asking validation from him, but in turn he felt like he was asking validation from me.
Are you real? Are you for real?
Yes. And that
I think you both are asking.
And that really hurt. That really hurt me because we've missed opportunities, right?
It hurt you for the child.
But it shook me because I said, well, I guess I am the principal now, right? And we can make these things happen. And so we just started then at that point, really started to have different conversations with staff and asking different types of questions.
Sure.
And so we started to see more folks coming to our open houses, more folks coming to our celebrations, more folks being accepted, right? And so the irony was Friday night football in Texas is always a big thing. And in South San, we have one high school. And so district leadership was like, "Hey, what's going on at Armstrong?" And I'm thinking I'm doing something wrong. I'm saying, "Why? I haven't heard anything." They're like, "No, we've had some parents come and talk to us about how you're doing good things for them, about how you're listening to them, about how you're accepting them." And one high-ranking administrator goes, "We had a lot of problems at those schools. That particular school in the past, we always had to call the police. There was always have someone on standby." I said, I recognized that early because I was asked if that's what I wanted, and we said no. That's not what we're going to do anymore. That's not who we are anymore. And so that just started to really help permeate, and teachers started to open up a little bit more. And it set the trajectory in my first year, right? So I was there 2.5 years because I had the opportunity then to move into central office after that.
Now, tell me, how did the little boy do?
So he started doing very well, right? He still was a little bit of a pickle.
Sure,
right?
sure. He had some behaviors to unlearn.
Yeah. But he ended up doing very well the rest of that year, right? Because we had the highest number of ISS referrals. We had the highest number of DAEP placement. And so when we started to tailor that, my colleagues, other principals were like, "Well, are you just not recording things because y'all had the highest numbers?" I said, "No, I'm not telling you that discipline isn't a problem.
Sure.
What I'm telling you is that I'm not sending them to ISS. They're staying in my office and I'm sitting with them. And if they need my help to tutor, then I'm going to tutor them. If they need my help to redirect them, I'm going to redirect them.
Okay.
They're going to sit right here with me. So I ain't going to send them into a room where they're going to just do nothing. They're going to sit right here with me."
Sure, get farther behind.
I said, so the consequence, there isn't one. There's no consequence to staying with the principal, right?
Well, they didn't behave just so they could come spend time with you, did they? They
No,
just behaved so they could.
Yeah,
That's right.
you know, and I had my little regulars, right? But even teachers started to notice, like, you know, you work really well with kids.
Sure,
I said, and for me,
yeah.
I just felt like,
Yeah.
you know what? Some of them, in the absence of, a father, right? I just want to be there for them now.
Yeah.
I can't be their father. I'm not their father. But at least the time that
But
they're
you can
here.
be a positive,
Oh, yes.
positive
Yes,
male
we
in their
can-
lives.
We can show
Yeah.
them that there's a different way of doing it.
Yeah, absolutely,
And
absolutely.
And the
Yeah.
irony, too, is that it was only 2 males on that campus. Myself, the principal, and then Mr. Gonzalez, because even our custodian was a female.
Okay.
So
Okay.
and all the teaching staff, they were all female. Our cafeteria staff were all
Oh,
female.
yeah. Wow. Wow.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Wow, that is so incredible. So how did this vision that you had about being relationship focused? I mean, and it wasn't just about being relationships, also having a positive outlook for the children.
Correct.
That no matter what your background is,
Correct.
you can become more than where you are right now.
Definitely.
Right, which is the same message we want to share with our teachers and
Definitely.
our paraprofessionals.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
You've got talent that you either don't believe you have, or maybe fear is keeping you from stepping.
I think being in that role really forced me to self-reflect.
Okay.
Right? Because in those situations and in the situation that I found myself in, I could have been a principal like they were, or like she was, or like my predecessor was, or like somebody was. But I think I relied on I'm going to be who I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I'm going to be because it's easier to just be me than it is to try to be something or someone
Sure.
that I'm not, right?
Sure.
And so the whole transformational piece of this was really taking the time to listen, right? Don't be too quick to try to resolve stuff, right? Get information, take in information by interacting with people.
Mm-hmm.
And as you interact with people, you're establishing relationships, right?
Yes.
Follow up with what you say you're going to follow up with, right? Even if it's, I don't have that answer yet, or even if it's a no, right? If it's a no, it's a no. People will respect that. Right? Folks
Yes,
will respect
that's right.
that. Right?
That's right. Yeah.
No, it can't be done this way, but let's look at this way. Let's figure out a solution, right? Come into situations with a growth mindset, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because in education, we have our own restrictions that that are put in place for us.
Sure.
We can still work within the means that's
Right.
allowed, right?
Absolutely.
I also have a strong feeling that educators, we're probably one of the most resourceful beings on this planet, right? We can figure out a way.
Do more with less.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes,
From
and
resource
not
standpoint.
losing sight of what that is. And then the other piece really is, it's in everyone's, I feel, it's in every one of our core to want to better us or better the people that we're around, right? And
Should
so
be.
then how do we do that, right? Because if that's not something that you're bringing to the table, then why are we doing this work?
That's a great question.
Like a medical physician, right? You're there to help people. If you're there to not help people, why are you in that
Why are you here?
profession?
That's right.
Why did you do all that work, all that schooling
Yes. Yeah.
to do that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Educators that are empathetic or have lack of empathy, I think
Yeah.
they may have gone through a hard time and they feel, and we need to pull those people aside and just talk to them.
Some people have been wounded really
Yeah,
hard,
yeah,
and
yeah.
they need healing.
Right, and it's
Yeah.
just reconnecting with them.
Yes.
And
that's
again,
right.
that happens through a conversation,
Yes.
right?
So when you got ready to go to the next assignment,
yes.
how did that culture sustain?
So it sustained. My vice principal and I worked very, very well together, and he had been a vice principal for probably 6 years before I had gotten that
Okay.
role, right? So there was a heavy reliance on that. Mr. Gonzalez was his name.
Yeah.
He always wanted to kind of work in the shadows, and I always felt like, no, you need to come
time.
up front. Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to come up front because what's being displayed and what's being implemented is really what you're asking. I'm just the vessel or the guy that's announcing it.
that's
It's
right.
not me, right? And so there was a level of sadness, right, when I had to depart.
Yeah.
But I think
he stepped into
that role after I had left.
Fantastic.
So he became the principal.
Yes. So there was
of that school.
consistency of the culture that you'd established.
Yes, there was.
Yeah.
There was.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And then from there, I had the opportunity to go to a different school district after that.
Just reflecting back on that, how do you feel about that accomplishment?
Oh, I feel positive. I feel like, for me, it's those real lessons in life, right?
Sounds like you've learned a tremendous amount.
Yeah.
I mean,
I will tell you that the successes that I think that I've had in my career are because I've fallen flat on my face more than others, right? People that are superintendents, because I rub elbows with them daily, they don't want to share those secrets with you, but
the hard lessons come through failure.
Yeah.
Right.
I tend to think of, I'm in this role because I've been blessed to be in this role, right? I'm an educator just like you are, right? Currently in my role in Cotulla, I always express to our staff, there's no hierarchy here. We all are playing on the same level playing field, right?
That's right.
We only have one quarterback, we have two running backs, we have, right? I just so happen to be the quarterback.
That's right.
But we're all
that's right.
on the same
we all got the same
plane.
goal line that we're aiming for.
Right. And
that is such a great message.
Yeah, I just feel like, I've been blessed to be in this role. I'm not any different from anyone else. I've opened myself to listen and to take feedback. And like I said earlier, if I don't fulfill something, I'm gonna own it. I'm gonna own it. And I see my staff now saying, "Hey, sir, I'm gonna own that. I'm sorry." But it brings us together, right?
Yeah.
It brings us
Absolutely.
more together. So,
well, Ramiro, thank you so much for sharing this. I mean, the lessons about deep listening, listening with empathy, and really caring about people sincerely. I mean, it really shows through in the way that you lead, and then that consistency and follow through. Having integrity. It's really an integrity issue of if I say I'm going to do something, that I follow through with it, no matter how small.
That is correct.
And that builds that foundation of trust.
That's correct. And Matthew, and we're all human, right? So we can all sense if someone's being very authentic or when someone's not, right?
Yes.
And it's easier to be authentic, right?
Yes.
And it goes exactly how you summed it all up. It's that, right? It's people are going to judge you based on your consistency over time, right? Can I trust him? Can I not? Does he follow through? Does he not? Does he follow up with what he says he's going to do? Or does he just kind of give me lip service and then disappear, right? So, I mean, being a superintendent allows me the opportunity to really move things at a faster pace, right? But never losing sight that, the role that I have is just one among several.
That's right.
So,
that's right. Quarterback on a bigger team.
That's right. That's right.
That's right. Well, it's been a pleasure to get
to have thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for being on Transformational Educators podcast.
All right.
Really
I hope that was helpful.
Oh, so much so. That story was really emotional for me.
Thank
I was
you.
trying to don't start bawling here because you think about really what happened. I mean, this man had come to know the Savior. He'd had a transformation, but nobody could tell.
Right.
Because we still judge people by
the
outside.
I think just everybody just was afraid, right?
Yeah.
Was afraid because of what you hear and all this or whatever they had.
In his past or whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
But giving people the opportunity, it's so simple. Sometimes, I think about that saying sir to someone, just the little signs of respect.
Right.
How important those are for people. So, man, you're doing such a great work, man. I am just super pumped that you are leading there and can't wait to see what all happens.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. And thanks for taking time to do this
in the
middle of the conference. And I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
If today's conversation gave you fresh insight or inspired you to lead with purpose, please follow the show and tell a friend. It helps us reach more educators who want to make a difference. For more stories, resources, and tools to support your leadership journey, visit graceland.edu. Until next time, keep leading with courage and care. If you want to keep learning about transformational strategies in education, click the next video.